Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Ragin Marks Wrestling Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ravishing Randy, joined on my right by Rampage Ramsey. What's going on, my man? Hi.
Hi.
No.
Just one of those days.
I know the feeling. It's been a rough couple of weeks at work with Jazz Fest. I'm just glad that it's over with. We can kind of focus on talking about some of the cool shit that's happened the last few weeks in the world of professional wrestling. I mean, WWE.
I've been feeling my age. I threw out my back last week.
Oh God.
So, yeah, missed a day of work, and then
I woke up this morning and my kidneys were killing me. I was like, geez, did I not drink enough water last night? I was sitting there chugging water this morning before I went to work, like try to,
Yeah, for some reason I don't do the Cinco de Mayo thing no more.
I did not do Cinco de Mayo at all, sadly. And I was gonna say work kind of dictated that, but Lindsay and I had what was it, Quattro de Mayo. Kind of did our little like impromptu celebration
you had,
then.
May the fourth be with you day.
And also with you. Sorry, that's the rogue Catholicism in my brain.
I actually try to watch. I try to watch Star Wars on Saturday. I tried. Still can't get into it.
Yeah, well, dude. Nah, I was gonna say I'm kind of excited to see what's going on with Star Wars. We had a trailer, or the newest trailer for the Acolyte that just dropped on May the 4th. Looking forward to Ahsoka Season 2. And so there's gonna be a lot of fun things to look forward to coming up for Star Wars fandoms. But no, man, WWE coming off a huge weekend this past week in Lyon, France. I was gonna say SmackDown, granted, was taped for us here in the States, but by the time we actually got to see what went down during the day in Lyon, holy cow, was that crowd crazy. And that was just a small taste of what we were going to see this past Saturday when we had WWE Backlash France. And wow, like, you want to talk about a crowd making a show. And, it's kind of crazy. What was it, Backlash last year in San Juan, Puerto Rico? We thought that was maybe one of the greatest crowds that we had seen internationally at a wrestling event. And holy crap, France definitely is now sitting at that S tier with, a lot of these other international crowds got a lot to live up to now.
Yeah, that crowd was phenomenal. Oops, did I change something? Yep. Sorry,
You get a little ahead of yourself there.
Technical difficulties. Dude, that fucking crowd was fucking crazy. I know after the press conference they were kind of like trying to figure out what they were saying, if it wasn't like nothing to derogatory or mean-spirited, but dude, that crowd was crazy.
Dude, I mean, just some of the standout moments. Whenever Jey Uso had his entrance right before his match, like just the whole crowd with their phones out doing the whole yeet, pose, and then
singing Randy Orton's song, going like 2 bars after the music stops.
I'm like, when did voices become Judas? I'm like, it's kind of crazy that like it.
And the thing is, like, I know watching some of the new shows this morning on YouTube, they were talking about some of the comments. The comments is like, do the United States crowd need to step up their game? I'm like, no. We have this shit's every week for us.
Right.
They don't get it every week, so it's an experience, and I think that's where WWE is like dabbing into, like, all right, we're going to be, like I said, only the big events is in the United States this year.
Yeah, no, like
everything else, every other pay-per-view that's not the big
every
four,
B tier, so to speak, or what would be classified as B
is going to be excuse me, international. So it's they got this, and they're going through the motions where they have that crowd reactions like they are. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Well, I mean, like, to your point too, though, is you do see those big crowds at U.S. events for select moments or select matches, pay-per-views. you know, it's kind of different when you go over across the world. To your point, like places that don't get these events except for, you know, like a European tour where it's like glorified house shows, basically.
Yeah.
You know, so it is definitely something a bit more special. And when you can bring that soccer or football element to those WWE events, it definitely gives it a fresh coat of paint, so to speak.
And the glorified house shows that they've been doing, because they've been in and out of UK, Italy, France this past month. They've been in and out of the European market. They still outdraw some of the SmackDowns, Raws, all the AEW shit all together. They're outdrawing them. They're just outdrawing them. Like, it's crazy the amount of the people are attending the house shows, just not the regular shows.
Well, no, I was going to say to your point, like a lot of the clips that we saw from, you know, the different trips through the UK right after WrestleMania. I mean, you would think like, oh, Cody's going to get a loud pop tonight, but, you know, the next night it's maybe not going to be nearly as loud. And it's like, nope. Crowd brought it every single night. And it's like these Europeans are hungry for more events like this.
Yeah, because like in London, they did like 16,000 on the 19th of April. Cardiff, there was a real small arena in Cardiff. They did 4,000.
I mean, but I mean,
third places,
they did just under 5,000. But I mean, like literally, they squeezed in as many people as they could in that small arena. So I mean,
yeah.
You know, they definitely packed it out more than what the ticket sales would indicate. And then, as I say, I could have sworn there was like another UK show that was mixed in there between Cardiff and London.
They did not release. I couldn't find the thing, and also don't the Italy numbers hasn't came out yet either. But I know there's a couple ones I was still working on.
I mean, look, either way, and again, going back to this crowd for Backlash, I mean, they set the record for the largest gate of any arena show in WWE history. So, you know, no massive arena stateside was able to match with what they were able to pull from this event in Lyon. Granted, they're probably selling tickets for a lot more than what they've gone for in the past, but I mean, still, like, we were talking about after Mania, the fact that this WrestleMania shattered records across the board, and it's like WWE is just riding that wave of momentum right now, and it's, you know, definitely good for business.
No, Cardiff was on the 18th, and then London was on the 19th.
So those are the only two
shows.
Okay. Or maybe London was like a back-to-back or something.
I know there was a Italy show. There was a show in Italy, which I haven't found the numbers yet on that show.
Either way, enough about numbers, enough about records. Let's actually go ahead and dive into the action, just because don't want to spend too much time going over the results. But we opened strong with what's supposed to be the tag match between the Bloodline and RKO, which quickly devolves into chaos before the match. The bell even rings. They're brawling in the aisleways, everything. Officials coming out trying to break it up. And I love the fact that, like, we just had no nonsense. Nick Aldis comes right out and is like, you know what, screw it. If y'all are going to do this, we're just going to make this a street fight, and y'all have fun. Y'all beat the hell out of each other. And so, I mean, it was a very good physical, I guess, slobber knocker, as you would say. Just like four men beating the crap out of each other. You know it's a different day and age in WWE, and we are definitely in the Paul Levesque era when you have Michael Cole. And granted, it almost was like Michael Cole had his phone out and was sitting there reading off like a Wikipedia page. But the fact that he's giving a rundown of all the opponents that Tama Tonga faced when he was in New Japan, and like was putting over the time that he spent over there. It's like, if this were a Vince McMahon era, there would have been hardly any mention of New Japan, save for the fact that
he wouldn't be named Tama.
He wouldn't be named Tama Tonga. You know, or, you know, I guess spoiler alert, end of the match when we get Tonga Loa, you know, it's like, oh, that's Camacho, you know, we would have gone back to his old WWE gimmick, you know, but it's definitely, you could definitely tell it's a different day and age that we're living in. I loved some of the comedic spots between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens over the course of the match, especially a lot of the stuff with the guardrail. Kevin Owens taking the dive up the guardrail. Randy Orton get up there doing the pose, and he's like, I'm not too old for this shit. They're just hopping down. The competing drops onto the announce table, everything like that. So I kind of like the fact that even though they're both like such great bad guys, there also are these good guys that like I guess have that presence and wherewithal with comedic timing and everything that they just play well off of each other. You kind of feel like Randy Orton was able to come out of his shell a bit with the whole RK Bro thing with Matt Riddle.
And
it's kind of nice to see
coming out like he's more. He's just enjoying it. Like he knows.
Yeah.
He knows it's the time is near. The time is near. Where enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't. You could be in that position where you're gonna try to go for titles every single time and not. I know there's a report I heard today was that Kevin Owens is not going after titles anymore because he's just enjoying it. He likes working with other talent. He likes building up storylines. He just likes having fun.
Well, and also his contract, if I read correctly, is like due up in about 9 months' time, something like that.
Yeah, and I also don't see him going anywhere else.
I don't see it either. He's kind of always wanted to go to WWE. He had an opportunity to possibly jump.
When his last time his contract was up,
he had an opportunity to jump ship to AEW, and the Bucks and everybody were ready to welcome him with open arms. And he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay here. I got a good thing going."
And then with now with the Triple H era, he has that opportunity now where he can do more, be more vocal, be like, "Hey, I'd rather do this." Okay, let's do that. So in terms, I think I don't see him going, especially if you. I think you could speak to other people. He has friends at the other company, and you can tell that he's like, yeah, no.
I think wrestlers are more inclined, like, especially with a guy like KO and even Randy Orton to that extent. It's like guys that have been there to the top of the mountain. They've seen it. They've done it all. It's kind of one of those things where, look, like, if I'm in a title picture or if I get another title again, awesome, great. But at the same point in time, just give me good story. Give me a program with somebody that works.
And he's relevant. And that's the thing. He's staying in relevancy. And really it's just because he's that charismatic on the screen where Vince was not giving him that time sometimes to be like the comedic or even a charisma type be himself pretty much.
Yeah. It's just good to see kind of two badasses like Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, just, two guys that have no problem, getting into hard knuckle fights. Just go out there and do their thing. And it's like, hey, man, we're bros because we like doing the same shit.
And the thing is, like I always said, I thought Randy Orton's is better off of a heel, but I like this Randy Orton because it feels
more real and more natural. It's not like we're forcing him to be a babyface. Like, he's just being himself.
Being himself. He's like having a good time. He's like, look, I'm in my prime. I'm just having fun. Same thing with Kevin Owens. He's just having fun. Especially if you keep Kevin Owens as what he is now, don't change him to a heel, and have these web excuses or these vignettes with him, with Kalen Braxton and stuff. Because there's a WWE video. Him and Kalen Braxton was going around Lyon, and he just being himself is so great on camera, and I just think that it's don't change him. Let's keep going. Keep going
I love the chemistry that's there. I was gonna say, dude, Tama Tonga, welcome to WWE for his first match in. They laid the wood on him. His back after some of those kendo stick shots was like, good lord, was it marked to hell. That spot that KO and
you got
Tama
in the ring with two people. even with Solo, welcome to relevancy. You're in the ring with two people who are wily veterans, but if you want strong style, they can go strong.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, you're in New Japan? And you think that's strong? We'll show you strong.
No, the spot with Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga in the corner, the fisherman suplex off the top rope through the chairs in the middle of the ring. That was a sick spot. And you would think that would have been what gives KO and Randy Orton the win.
I'll tell you the funny thing about this. If this was in Paris, I can see Kevin Owens try to make an angle where he can take the fight outside to the Eiffel Tower, climb up the Eiffel Tower, and do a jump off the Eiffel Tower. Just because we know Kevin Owens likes to have those big spots.
Well, no, so, we think that that's going to be the end of the match, that clearly that's what's going to, get KO the win. He goes for the pinfall 1-2, and then we see the ref get pulled out of the ring, or did he get pulled out of the ring? That was just kind of a funny thing, because we were supposed to get the debut of Tonga Loa, was supposed to yank the referee out, but then we had camera angles, or at least cell phone footage from fans that were sitting ringside that showed that Tonga Loa was a little late getting out from under the ring, and so the ref had to improvise and almost yank himself out of the ring. And it was a fluid transition though, because you see the ref kind of make he's being pulled out, and then Tonga Loa just kind of woof. It was almost as seamless as when Kaiser takes Gunther's jacket.
Yeah.
Nah, it was just kind of crazy that it's his re-debut and he's already missed his spot. But thankfully the live camera angles or whatever didn't catch it, so it looked like it went off flawlessly. But then we get the official re-debut of Tonga Loa. We now have the Gorillas of Destiny, a very successful New Japan tag team that is now reunited in WWE. We have adopted brothers, basically. And we're now forming this new bloodline. Long story short, Bloodline ends up winning this match. Paul Heyman is an emotional wreck. There's rumors circling out there that Hikuleo's New Japan contract is due come June. And that WWE is heavily interested in bringing the 6'4" giant over into the WWE. We also have Jacob Fatu that's waiting in the wings. And so it's very interesting to see where this Bloodline 2.0 is going to go. And just when you thought at WrestleMania that the storyline was maybe dead in the water, it's holy crap, we got a whole other half of an orange that we can juice here.
It's revving up. I see Survivor Series. I see War
Games, old Bloodline, new Bloodline.
War Games Bloodline. By that time, we could have a whole Survivor Series card of Bloodline match. Pretty much.
No, man, it's
because now well, I don't want to go ahead in news, but Bloodline women are now on same brand now. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
We then followed that match up with the triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship. So we got Bayley in her first pay-per-view or premium live event, title defense going up against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. And I gotta say, the women, it was maybe a little slow to start, but by God, by a quarter into the match, they were fucking bringing it. A lot of really good spots, and Tiffany Stratton definitely star of the match, just in my eyes.
She's Saturday night I was with the guys watching boxing, and they asked me about Tiffany Stratton, and I was like, that girl's phenomenal.
She's been doing this for just about or just under 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, just how far she has come in that short amount of time. Basically went from training with Greg Gagne to then like almost immediately going to NXT and then being in NXT for what, maybe just about a year? A little over a year?
The thing is, it's about, that everyone, back in the day, it's always about football stars going in and being wrestlers. Always about football.
Do them gymnastics.
Gymnastics is pretty much pro wrestling.
Yeah.
The flips, the tumbles, the falls. That they know how to take a fall. Hey, Livy Dune, let's do it. Become a WWE star.
She's got the Insta followers. She's got the recognition. It's like almost like a Logan Paul 2.0.
She retired. Right? She still had one more year eligibility. She wanted it, but she retired. Why not? What you going to do?
Yeah, I was gonna say WWE getting into the NIL deals and everything like that. That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, we'll get to the NIL deal because. Woo!
No, just a couple of spots that stood out for me. There were a lot of really good like counter moves in this match. I love the whole sequence that we got, like Tiffany and Naomi kind of revisiting their elimination chamber spot with the somersaults or like the cartwheels that lead into the Alabama Slammer on the announce table, and then also doing the same thing, Alabama Slammer to Naomi or Bailey. So the double spot. Naomi and Bailey hitting that 3D spot when Stratton was going for the prettiest moonsault ever. Like, that was a great spot. And it's like one of those things, pretty much with that, we write Tiffany out of the match so we have the go-home sequence. And it's like, it's one of those things like, yes, Tiffany Stratton lost, but she didn't get pinned. She was made to look strong the entire match. And then even the finishing sequence with Naomi and Bailey, it was like back and forth roll-ups with Bailey's just being a little bit better. So it was kind of one of those things that even the champion, it was a hard-fought win, but both of the competitors were made to look strong in defeat. So
yeah, it looked like your typical Call Bailey match, where to make sure you're going to look great, you're going to look great, I'm going to look great.
Everybody looks great.
Everyone looks great.
And like, dude, if you don't believe that Tiffany Stratton is a star and they aren't about to strap the fucking rocket ship to her, look at the reaction that she got in Perth. And look at the reaction that she got here. Like,
there's a lot of people that were talking about the women's division. And a lot of people on YouTube were saying AEW's women's division is the best in depth. I'm going to tell you, no. Because you have Tiffany Stratton 3 years in, and to this level, no. There's nobody depth-wise is going to be like this. And I think
WWE has definitely put a renewed focus.
They're going to have a problem now. Their problem is they have too many fucking talented women on the roster.
See, but that's the thing is like, and I feel like WWE has had a renewed push on we need to really beef up the women's division because they've had their stars, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's like you had your 2 or 3 women that were at the top on each show, and then everybody else was kind of also rans. I almost feel like the last few weeks they've done a good job of like showcasing like, hey, no, like really. The top of the card on Raw and SmackDown women-wise runs about 6-7 deep.
You just said something there, and light bulb popped in my head. You said last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Who just came back a couple weeks ago?
Liv Morgan.
No.
Oh, I was about to say, like, Liv.
No,
I love everything to do with Liv.
Think about it. What you just said.
Oh, it's Stephanie?
Yeah. She was one of the main pushes to get the women's division be put on and be pushed when Vince was there. Now this is now coming back like now, okay, it's now being pushed being pushed more now.
Mm.
Just saying correlation.
Well, it's one of those things. Like, of course, you're gonna have your stars, so to speak, but when you're pushing more than a small handful of women, it's just one of those things that's gonna make the overall division better.
Yeah.
Because now you have more viable. It's not one of those situations where, now, granted, we looked at this match and we knew it's Bayley's first like legitimate title defense. She's not gonna lose. But there were so many spots in that match where you're like, if Naomi gets the pinfall here, I could buy it. I could believe it.
I actually said that that's the one match I can see if they want to go over and to be like, oh yeah, this is no brainer. That's the one match I thought, yeah, they can drop. She can drop the top because Bayley's that type of person. Is like, look, she's hot right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bayley is one of those like, let's push the woman. That's one of the things like I always keep saying about Bayley as being the best in the business is because how she was running as a running producer in NXT for the women's division. You know, I won't be shocked if she kind of does that up in the main roster, but like I won't be shocked if that would happen. Be like, hey, she should be like, look, I not just want it, but Tiffany here. Let's drop it to the moon.
Like realistically, we have Money in the Bank that's going to be coming up in a few months. You also have the Women's Royal Rumble down the road. Needless to say, I kind of feel like it's going to be Tiffy time sooner rather than later, and within, I would say, the calendar year. Like, mark it down now. Within a year from now, Tiffany Stratton's definitely going to be a champion.
I say yeah. I would also just wait a year. Not this year, let her win the Money in the Bank, but next year, Money in the Bank. Because I think how she can play a heel role, as she did in NXT, is really good. And then give her like the pink Barbie case with it. I think.
It has to be
fucking phenomenal.
She already said in an interview with Chris Van Vliet WrestleMania weekend that like if she ever does win Money in the Bank, she is gonna have a pink briefcase bedazzled to the nines. Like she's just going to go all out with it. So no, I can't wait to see that. Either that or I love the freaking L gimmick like from Clueless, like when she had the whole yellow plaid get up in the ring. I'd even be okay with something like that, like almost like a handbag in the bank, you know?
Yeah, I think wherever it's gonna be phenomenal.
She'll know how to accessorize.
Oh yeah.
Now, after the match, though, we had an interesting backstage segment with Jey Uso getting ready for his match, which was going to be next up on the card. And we have the Judgment Day, we have the Bloodline roll through. And, I mean, of course, we've got Solo and his new boys just kind of eyeing down Jey. Then they just walk off. And then you have Paul Heyman just coming up with, like, the puppy dog eyes, like, help me, I'm trapped, you know, kind of deal. What did you think? I gotta ask you this. What did you think of, like, from SmackDown, the whole Paul Heyman letting it slip that he hadn't spoken to Roman since Mania? Do you feel like maybe they led into that maybe too soon?
No. I think that's, I think they're sprinkling the calls. I think it's, you have to start the return of Jimmy at some point. So I think you sprinkle that in because it's like, because now you have to start the angles. Like, what's going to be the next angle? It's Randy and Kevin right now, but what's going to be the next angle? So you can keep moving on. But that little angle now, it's because like he was not the forefront of the bloodline, but he was the second. Mm-hmm. Paul Heyman was the second. Now Paul Heyman's not he's second, but he's like a far second.
He's not. Well, actually, he's not even second. He's not even third, really. If we want to think about it at this point, he's kind of at the bottom.
He has more airtime. Like he has the same number.
No. He's got the airtime.
More relevant. The relevant part of him is like far in the background. So, I think the storyline for him to go through, I think, continuing because if he's like condoning this, that means this is from Roman Reigns. You knew it right off the bat. This was like that. Like when he smashed the phone, call Roman Reigns and he smashed the phone. It's like All right, that order was not from Roman Reigns. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well,
So,
no,
like,
I mean, we get that, but it's also like, does Paul Heyman not have another phone? Is Paul Heyman, well, he says he hasn't spoken to him since Mania. I was like, but that whole phone smash thing happened on SmackDown, and I get in the world of WWE that like we don't acknowledge what happens in the days from a premium live event to the actual live show. That just doesn't happen.
Real life doesn't happen. Talk to him.
I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was maybe a little too soon to tip that cap. But then I'm also going to be intrigued on if we get down the road and Paul Heyman, because I mean Paul Heyman usually his sales tend to sway with whichever way the wind blows, and if the wind is blowing in the direction of the new Judgment or the new Bloodline, he'll turn on the Tribal Chief in a heartbeat if the new Bloodline's the next big thing. So I am kind of curious to see how much of this is, the boy who cried wolf, or if he legitimately is, being held hostage, so to speak.
Well, if you listen to the words of Roman Reigns, he's not doing this without... He's done if Paul Heyman's not on for the ride. So it's... I think as much as a weasel Paul Heyman is, he's true to form where he got your back until something come out bigger. There's no one bigger. There's no star that's going to be there. It's going to be as bright as Roman Reigns because.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Out of the bloodline.
I was about to say the words that just came out of your mouth. I never thought I would hear.
Out of the bloodline. He's a star of the bloodline.
Damn. I was about to say, you were about to witness history right here.
No, he's still...
Him actually praising Roman Reigns. Holy shit.
Out of the bloodline, he's the only one that's the star. No one else was the star. The only one that took his shine was Sami Zayn. In that bloodline. That whole bloodline thing, the only person that took his shine away was Sami Zayn.
You can make an argument maybe for Jay a little bit.
Jay didn't take the shine off because every time that he was getting ready to shine, Roman dropped him a peg. So it was like, but with Sammy, the one-liners and the jokes always got over undermining. He got over undermining Roman. And even when Jay was playing the asshole, like I don't like you, blah blah blah, Sammy will come out and say something.
Still crack a smile.
And he's like, especially like with the
Usi.
No, not the Usi. They're doing a backstage segment, and they're like, Jay was just all mean mugging and everything, trying to be in character, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Waffle House." He's like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna go to Waffle House." So like, there's always that undermine, like, to shine for like that, but like no. He's not the star of no. You won't get that out of me, no.
Anyway, we jump into the third match on the card, which is for the World Heavyweight Championship. We have Damian Priest defending against Jay. We already kind of touched earlier about the amazing entrance that Jay had going into the ring. I love Priest early on in the match, basically shutting down the yeet chants, just basically like, nope, no yeet. I gotta say, overall, the quality of the match is really good. And I think, like, especially after the disappointing WrestleMania match that Jay had, he definitely needed this one to go off as well as it did. It wasn't a super kick fest. It was just a good back and forth. You could even say that Jay kind of had the upper hand for the majority of the match. And if it wasn't for interference, unwanted or not, from other members of the Judgment Day, like JD McDonough and Finn Balor, like, Priest could have very well lost his title in his first defense. Like, I mean, well, no, just saying, like, literally, if it wasn't for JD putting his foot on the ropes, Jay would have won the match. Again, I know that wasn't realistically going to happen. It's all storytelling. But, I mean, definitely made Jay look good in the match, even in defeat. The fact that it took 3 men to basically, have Priest keep the title. I love the interaction at the end of the match. I mean, granted, the finish was nice, the South of Heaven from the middle rope, that does it in. But, like, Judgment Day running in to beat down Jey Uso and Damian Priest throwing them all off, even grabbing Finn Balor by the face and basically like, stop it. It's kind of interesting to see. I mean, we're slowly but surely had the teases over the last few weeks of like, hey, I don't need the Judgment Day. Judgment Day needs me. Him maybe getting too big for his britches, but at the same point in time, maybe also sort of seeing the face turn now. Do you think maybe that's a little too soon, especially considering what's going on with, Rhea being out for a few months? Do you think maybe we're pulling the trigger on this too quickly, or is now the right time to make that switch?
I think the switch would have been perfect if Finn Balor would win King of the Ring. But as of tonight, we're recording this on a Monday, first match of Raw, he lost the qualifying match
To
Jey Uso, which I thought that was the worst mistake ever. I'm sorry, Finn. That would have been the perfect end. I'm the king. The prince turning to becoming the king.
Prince becoming the king, yeah.
And then now you get the King of the Ring, King Balor, and then you got WWE World Champion Damian Priest, and you can start having like a little inner squabble, and then that is the cause of why Damian Priest loses the title.
I mean, unless
like right now, like let's be real, it's Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, Scotland.
Yeah.
If just saying that's probably going to be the case riding into it.
Well, we know it won't be by way of the King of the Ring tournament because Jey Uso ended up replacing Drew McIntyre, who was ruled medically ineligible for tonight. Now, I mean, we're going to touch on that later, but since we're talking about spoiler territory now, I mean, hey.
I think that's all storyline driven. I don't think he's really that hurt.
I mean, I think part of it is he is legitimately hurt, but at the same point in time, it's kind of one of those things like, hey, if we can make the story work, give you a week off to kind of recover, why not? And then it further fuels Drew's conspiracy thing.
Take the week off. Then shows up during the match.
Well, heck.
I will say this off subject. No, I'll go to that.
Well, I was gonna say because we only have 2 more matches to go through. The fact that this is only a 5-match card and we were well under the 3-hour mark, it's kind of nice for a premium live event. Not gonna lie. We go to what, and I don't mean this in a negative connotation, was maybe the weakest match on the card. Still a pretty decent match. But we have the Women's Tag Championships being defended by the Kabuki Warriors against the newest, hottest tag team of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Was there any surprise that the Kabuki Warriors didn't retain the belts and that we were going to put it on the hottest duo in the women's division right now?
No. I think it was all chalk. I think it was pretty much, that was going to be the case. You can't have Jade really lose.
Mm-mm.
You want to make her into a monster.
Look, you want to make her into a monster. More spots like that whole exchange between her and Kyrie, taking that her and Karana attempt and just basically morphing her into position for the Jaded. I mean, that was an impressive sequence. That was probably like the sequence of the night right there.
I think they missed on it. It kind of botched a thing where I can't think what the move set was, but like Jade was supposed to like throw her off, and then it was something like it went like the finishing of the sequence was just, I was just like, oh shit. Now if they would have done that without no botch, I was like, god damn, that would have been awesome.
I think
that's why they got her with Bianca, because she needs seasoning. She needs. Mm-hmm. She's still like, unlike Tiffany Stratton, they're both young into the game. The difference is Tiffany Stratton has athleticism,
Tiffany Stratton has more flexibility,
and
where she can contort her body a lot better.
Where
Jade's a tank.
Jade is a bodybuilder and fights more. I think she'll have more phenomenal matches, like with think dumbass. What's the name?
I was gonna say
Naya.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oof. Yeah.
Which will be coming. So
big women slapping breast meat. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, big beefy men slapping man meat. What would be the female equivalent of that? I don't know. That was bad, but I popped you though, so I'll take it.
Not even going there.
I popped you though. I'll take it.
Not even going. I'm like, when you said it's not even pop, you cringed me. I was like,
oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
Like, oh man, that's no. Probably do a Kevin move on you, be like the views and takes are not on our program, just of his.
Let's go ahead and go to the main event. And I mean, again, we touched on it earlier with the crowd, but like the fact that we get into the intros for the WWE Undisputed WWE Championship, camera shaking, during the AJ Styles introduction and the Cody Rhodes intro. So I mean, that was pretty cool to see. Fun fact, and like I didn't even know this, the fact that AJ Styles can claim to be the first man to wrestle both Dusty Rhodes and Cody Rhodes for championships, like, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Also goes to show how long AJ's been doing
He's
this.
also been wrestling the longest he's been there the longest. I mean, he's been wrestling the longest at anyone in WWE right now, so yeah.
I mean, this was a phenomenal back and forth match. There are some people, at least from what I've read and seen, that put it up there with, the Ospreay and Danielson match, just from like work rate, quality, a lot of the moves that they pulled off in the match, just the good back and forth nature of it. The Stardust taunt that Cody did, the whole cartwheel right into the corner, was a great callback to what happened on SmackDown, where AJ called him out for that crap. So that was kind of a fun turnabout's fair play. The brainbuster spot that AJ did to Cody on the ring apron, that was pretty sick. The spot that got me was the whole burning hammer that goes for the cover and Cody kicks out at one, and Cody just gets up to his knees and starts doing the whole like bring it, like give me pain. Like, that was just a freaking great sequence right there. Cody busted out a Kimura lock, and that was I think the only submission that you saw on the entire show, or one of the only. It was just some great exchanges back and forth. It basically takes a top rope Cody cutter into a crossroads to win the match for Cody. And it's like, look, again, Cody just won the belt. Nobody saw him dropping it here.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm reading his notes that's on the screen, and it says top rope Cody cutter crossroads, and it says FTW, and I'm like, why the fuck he says fuck the world here?
For the win.
I'm sorry.
No, but like,
I have an ECW mindset. I'm sorry. I was like, fuck the world.
No, it was no surprise that Cody was going to retain here, but it's also just kind of like, put some credible bodies up against, your champions. And it's like, this is one of those matches that, like, look, at any point in time, if AJ Styles maybe snuck out a win, it wasn't like we're shocking the world. It's like, you got a guy that's a credible former champion. It builds up a good resume for Cody as you go.
Also, another wrestler in Cody Rhodes who I can honestly say, be like, you know what? I just won the title, but we can put it on AJ. He's one of those guys. He's the one that, hey, he did not want his title not to be the world title champion in his own company. So, I mean, his story was... his story's not over, but it's also.
No, he's right. He's right in the next chapter.
He's right in the next chapter, but also the chapter could be too is where, you know, he's always going to be known, always looking for the best business aspect of the story. And hey, you lose it to AJ, like I failed. Now I need to go through because I think that's what his stick is. It's always about like chasing, chasing. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's now going to be chasing his legacy, so to speak. And it's like, yeah, it's his first WWE Championship reign, but what legacy is he going to leave as champ? So again, you got to build that resume. Who are the credible people that he put down over the course of his title run? WWE official Jessica Carr makes history in this match, being the first female to referee a WWE title premium live event main event match. So, kudos to Jessica Carr. I know
she was the first female full-time referee.
Yeah.
In WWE.
I know Bubba Ray Dudley was talking about, she was a student at his wrestling school, 3D Academy. Gave her praise, gave her flowers, sang her praises, just about how good of a student that she was. And he was very happy and proud to see her.
At one point in the top, the
PWI
top 250 at one point. So yeah, I mean, she has it. She has it, the knowledgeable, and I mean, she's killing it. I follow her on Instagram. I don't follow that many, but I follow her because it's an interesting story because, like I said, she was a PWI 250 wrestler, and then now she's just a referee. But I think she's one of the best referees that WWE has.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely very credible.
Besides Lil Nate.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and even she credits Charles Robinson with her growth as a referee and her development.
I didn't know his name. I just know Lil Nate.
Charles Robinson, man, I got you. No, so I mean, very, very happy for her that she gets that recognition and definitely well deserving. Probably, and it's crazy because it's like not too long after the premium live event airs, we have the Kentucky Derby.
No,
and then during the Kentucky
last.
What?
That's next.
Oh,
that's next.
Pardon me, because I figured, hey,
that's.
Oh, you got a graphic. My bad.
Fucking graphic.
My bad.
That's the last of the graphic.
Well, so all right. Well, then let's go ahead and talk about the WWE Draft.
See, this guy was like, "We need more graphics, and then I get graphics, and
graphics,
no graphics.
You know what else helps? An outline. Anyway. Yeah, I know. I'm usually in charge of the outline, but no. What are some of your thoughts of the WWE Draft? Because I gotta be honest, I was kind of underwhelmed with how it all broke down this year.
If you look at this graphic, what does this graphic say to you?
Well, we got Raw, we got SmackDown, and then we have the gold for NXT.
And what's the one thing we did not have no reputation of in the draft?
Well, no, we had representation. It was they are basically in the NXT. They're in the Performance Center. They're the NXT arena, and they're all watching and waiting to see if they're going to be called.
Here's a draft. Like, I think if you're going to make NXT relevant, they need to be part of the draft.
Yeah,
they should have drafted some people because they're going to start. They got to bring some people down. Draft them. Let's do a draft. And let's not do it as a wrestling show. Let's do it as a one-off on a Peacock special. If you want to do it on like doing Raw, do the 3 hours on Raw. No wrestling. You can do it without being in an arena. But what you need is and this is my fix how to fix it because it was just terrible.
Well, I mean,
it makes no fucking sense.
I mean, because I have a few notes on how I would fix it too, but just like before we actually delve into that, let's just talk about the actual production of it itself. Like, I like the fact that we got to see some legends come back and announce some of the draft picks and everything like that.
Nope, don't like it. I mean, I don't like it.
I did, but also at the same point in time, just a lot of the moves are very underwhelming. The fact that you really didn't see a lot of movement of talent. You didn't see. It was kind of one of those things where like, oh, well, we wanted to protect storylines, and that's why we didn't really move too many people. It's like, if that's the case, why are you doing the draft now? You're doing the draft to compete with the NFL draft, and it's like,
not if competing, you're just trying to get some eyes onto it.
Eyes on it because draft is buzzing on Twitter. But I mean, if you're gonna do it to coincide with the NFL draft, then make it more like the NFL draft.
And if you want to do the NFL draft, then there's a dynamic, and WWE has a dynamic. This is one thing they missed on, is they didn't need no legends on that show. No, not a single legend needed to be picked up to make picks. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, one-on-one, is great storytelling, because they have that aspect when every time they have that, like when they're like have that like, I want to do better than you, and they have that like the energy, like they're still world champions. Yeah, and they want to go after each other. Let that play off on there, but then do it like the NFL draft. Now, I'll not say do it like NFL draft, but I know like one of your notes says I'm gonna steal your thing, War Room. Well, I would like this. So this is what I would like to see. Mm-hmm. I like to see, if it's during a wrestling show, have like match comes up, and then Raw's on the clock. You can have like a little picture-in-picture like we have here, like with the logo. Have a picture of a room where it's Adam Pearce and a couple Raw agents or the producers talking and discussing what they're going to do with their picks. Same thing with SmackDown. Same thing with NXT. And then do the alternate picks. And let them go through and actually do it. Or have like on stage like arguing or debating the picks. Like I said, I think it's more better to have like on the network and YouTube, and just have it where it's just the GMs and then the producers. So you can have, let's say, on SmackDown you had Nick Aldis. You know the Bloodline is not going to move to Raw. You can have Nick Aldis. You can have Paul Heyman, and you can have Bobby Roode. Those three, that's the War Room for SmackDown, and then you can have Adam Pearce, whoever. You know, I mean, you can do that in that background.
The whole thing with the War Room though is because like watching SmackDown, you didn't really see much of it. I was kind of happy when I watched Raw that they introduced more of those elements, because I think maybe they heard enough of the outcry after SmackDown of like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
You don't have enough time on SmackDown to do that and put a wrestling show on. That's the problem.
See, well, here's the solution to it. You don't split the draft up over both of the shows. You make it its own thing. You put it on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and whether it's a USA special, whether it's a Peacock exclusive, whatever, it needs to be its own thing.
I agree.
Make it a 3-hour show. Fuck. Make it a 4-hour show. Make it an impromptu premium live event in the middle of the week for all we care. Just make it its own thing where you have more time that you can devote to those things, those storylines. More involvement with the GMs. More interviews. Like, I think it's cool that, like, you had WWE.com and Instagram and Twitter, whatever, that they were doing the interviews with, like, some of the NXT people after they were picked and everything. Have more of that during the actual show. Like, highlight that more. If, you know, the whole thing with the not moving champions, I was able to maybe let slide, but then we were also keeping people that they were squaring off against, like, on the same shows just because, oh, hey, we got storylines we got to focus on.
Well, but the problem with that, too, is, like, last year they had Backlash. Majority of the card was people that were about to move to different shows. I think, like, 3 of the matches last year, the champion was facing someone that was drafted and was going on to another brand. So it was like,
why are why are we moving whole factions at once? Like that was the thing that bugged, or one big thing that bugged me. You have like whole factions being moved, whereas like in the past with the draft, you use it as an opportunity to split them off and like see what they can do on their own, or you know.
I understand.
I get keeping it
factions
consistent for story's sake, but like look at Alpha Academy. Wait, like they get drafted to Raw. Fucking Chad Gable's about to drop all them fucking losers. Like what?
Well, the same thing too. Like what was it? LWO got drafted, and so his Cleto was still.
Yeah, Carlito was revealed to be the attacker of Dragon Lead. So,
but technically hasn't been kicked out of the LWO yet. So
right.
Just like so, yeah. Oh, then move over. You know, I mean, I like the fact that factions move over because what you're going to do, you're gonna be like, yeah, I just want Solo. I don't want no one else. What's the point of
well, no, I get it, but it's just also at the same point in time when you have the LWO getting drafted before Drew McIntyre, or you have like certain of these loser factions getting drafted before.
The whole point of like I didn't understand was like how the drafting order and who got drafted first and stuff like that. I'm like, well, Jesus fucking Christ! Like CM Punk
is that a real draft?
Like not a real draft. It's like was the best people got picked first? No.
Well, it's like okay, as I pulled it up because I know you actually have the rosters side by side, and we don't necessarily have to go over each roster, but I'd actually pulled up like who got drafted round by round, and I get SmackDown, shorter show, and so they only did 4 rounds, but like your first round on SmackDown with the WWE Draft, with the fact that no champions are moving, SmackDown's first pick Bianca Belair. Raw's first pick, Jey Uso. Then you have Carmelo Hayes, which, big surprise, getting moved up in the first round, and then Seth Rollins to Raw. It's kind of one of those things when you look at it like, okay, SmackDown striking hot with a fresh young talent in Carmelo. But it's like, when you got other bigger names that are on the board, and it's like, this is your first round picks. It's like...
But night one, there was a pool that they only could pick from. And then on Raw, there's a pool that they can pick, a second pool they can pick from. So that's also the reason why too. Like I didn't understand like that.
That was dumb.
Yeah, that was dumb. The pool picks. I think you should just straight up go. How do you have 2 picks in the first round?
Yeah, but yeah, no. It's like just the whole that whole round by round process on each night, it didn't make sense like who got picked where.
I think you have to kind of separate the men and the women's, like have a men's round 1, women's round 1. You can't do like, because then like how you gonna make things fair? Because on Raw I'm gonna pick SmackDown I'm gonna pick Bianca Belair. Well, we're picking Jey Uso, and then SmackDown goes like, well, we're going to pick, they go back-to-back women's, and then they go back to, or they pick a guy, and then Raw comes back like, well, we're going to pick another guy. And then now you're behind the 8 ball on the roster already. You got to do like round 1 men, round 1 women's, and do it like heads up.
I did kind of see something about how like one potential improvement that you can make with it is that you only draft NXT talent, and then you use trades and stuff like that in order to like build your roster with main event talent. Or if you're going to treat it like the NFL draft, so to speak, then actually treat it like the NFL. Hey, okay, SmackDown has now signed this talent to a 2-year contract, and then at the end of 2 years, that talent's like, you know what? I fucking hate things on SmackDown. I think I'm going to test my luck in free agency, right? And then, like, well, Raw doesn't want them. Oh, well, SmackDown, if that's how you feel, well, then, we don't want you. And then maybe they end up finding their way on to NXT. Or just something like that, like, more trades, more interaction with the GMs, more of that shit-talking. Because I kind of feel like the shit-talking was, like, there when they were competing to sign some of those NXT talents before the draft. And then during the draft, it was just like, oh, hey, ha, ha, ha.
I like how they were, like, the big deal was SmackDown signed Braun Breaker. And then he got drafted to Raw.
Yeah, like 3 weeks later. What was the fucking point?
No. Don't. Let's not do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like...
Do away with the draft completely, because to me, it's like unless you're going to do it to where it makes sense, but like this, it doesn't make sense. It's nonsense.
You definitely need to take it back to the drawing board to retool it, because the presentation as it is now, it doesn't work. Like, I also like the whole randomness of the previous Raws, where like, or the previous drafts, where legitimately talent had no idea where they were going to be moved to. Granted, I know that doesn't work from a logistical standpoint with travel and everything else. Like, I get them wanting to be kinder to the talent and not just like completely fuck them over out of the blue.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. When you announced the thing, like, oh, we're going to draft Andrade, with that stipulation, Charlotte will also be drafted to SmackDown, because she has to be.
Yeah.
Because married couples have to.
No, but didn't Andrade go to Raw?
No, Andrade went to SmackDown.
Oh.
Sounded with Raw. Charlotte was original SmackDown talent.
Don't mind me. I've just got my phone here. Yep, yeah, SmackDown. Well, yeah. No, I mean, again, it makes sense. Just like Becky Lynch is going to be on Raw with Seth Rollins. It's like, surprise, surprise.
That's a one pick. It should be one pick. I mean, like, Becky's the champion. She's on Raw. Automatically, Seth Rollins is in Raw. Don't make him a draft pick. He can't be drafted. He cannot be drafted by SmackDown. Can't.
Yeah, no, it definitely needs to be retweaked. I don't hate the concept of the draft. Just like, especially if you're worried about storylines after Mania, then don't do it right after Mania. Give it a little bit of breathing room. Give it a month or two, and then do the draft.
Well, because it's the beginning of the year too, so I mean, it's understandable why you want to do it at the beginning of the year and do the 1 year storylines.
Then don't worry about the stories. Maybe then do the draft right after Mania. Like immediately after Mania.
A week later. Well, luckily next year. Are we done with talking about the draft?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I'm sitting there talking about, on the same day that we have Backlash, we had the fucking Kentucky Derby, and during the Kentucky Derby, we have the announcement of where WrestleMania is going to be, and then nope, we're talking about the draft.
Exactly, because here it ties into the draft. It ties into the draft, because next year it's 1 week before the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do the draft the same weekend as the draft, but then do the draft as a draft for the first fucking week of the year of the thing.
Say draft 10 times fast.
Draft. Hey, someone that worked the NFL draft for like 15 fucking years, trust me, I said draft a lot. This is my first NFL draft that I did not do no work on it, and I was so happy.
You actually got to sit there and enjoy it.
I didn't watch none of it.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing. Like from when I said that to somebody, they were like, "Are you sick?" I was like, "No." I'm like,
I have a life now.
I don't feel. I wasn't doing. I had time to watch it. I just didn't. It felt great.
Because you're doing other stuff. I get it.
I was playing Assassin's Creed.
So, dude, like, we were talking about it. Like, I know Vegas was always a contender, but like everybody was clamoring that it was going to be Minneapolis was going to be the next host city for Mania, and then I guess like maybe with this Endeavor buyout, pushed it hard for Vegas, and Vegas ended up getting the nod. What are your thoughts on the move?
After seeing the logo. Yes,
the logo is pretty fucking badass.
I'm all in for it. I think the problem was there was so much backlash about the coldness in Philadelphia, and even though Minnesota it is indoors, it's an indoor stadium. Still, I think just Nick Khan was like, we're not doing the Northeast corridor for a while. I think these cold venue sites, and I think it's justified. I think you going to Minnesota, even to going to events, would be it'll be cold. It'll be colder climate. It'll still be cooler climate, and if it was like around this time, you might get snow. So I think doing it in Vegas, Plus,
doing it in Vegas, but also the big change is doing it middle of April versus like late March, early April. Like even just that couple of weeks time can add a big temperature difference.
There was actually a rumor saying that Nick Khan was thinking about looking at a May WrestleMania date, like pushing it up to May.
Well, I know the big thing too was them competing with the Final Four, like both men's and women's. And
yeah, they're doing this now a week later, or a week to 2 weeks later.
2 weeks, yeah.
Because of the Final Four, they didn't want to compete with the Final Four. In our basis, at our watch party,
mm-hmm.
Kevin did not show up night one because the Final Four was going on. 2 years in a row, but he showed up night two because there's no games.
Yeah, no, and he thoroughly enjoyed night two. So
yeah,
I mean, hey,
that's the thing. Like I knew, like for certain people, I know like Final Four is like that. In the '90s, yeah, that would have been me. But now, NCAA basketball, the Final Four is a joke. I really don't care for it anymore. You know, there's a lot of things like, man, I'm like sport wise.
Yeah, it kind of loses luster. I
think
I can't remember the last time I filled out a bracket just because it's like it gets to a point where it's like so many fucking teams. Do you have all like the playing games and everything like that? It's just like, man, like,
well,
it's like literally once the last like tournaments happen, then you have the play-in tournaments, and then like literally as soon as the play-in tournaments are done, boom, we're in the actual tournament. So it's like,
this is the first year that I did not watch a single college basketball game. And I normally at least watch 2 a year because I normally have to watch North Carolina Duke. It's just, but I have to. It's like kind of written in my DNA code. But I didn't even watch Carolina Duke this year. And then I was like, Carolina got the number 1 seed. I was like, okay. I turned it on, but then I think I was watching Reddit stories or something. So I was like, I don't know.
I will say this to bring it back to wrestling. It is kind of nice that we're going back to Vegas, and maybe like this new WrestleMania will help us get the stench of WrestleMania 9 out of our memories, because it's like Vegas and WrestleMania don't necessarily have a good history. I have a feeling if this past WrestleMania was any indication. Just a spectacle, especially with the spectacle that WrestleMania has become now. Like Vegas, they'll be able to pull it off. Really
I guarantee
well.
from that logo.
That logo is already a huge.
That right
plus.
there is gonna be way better than 9 completely, no matter what.
I'm like, dude,
because
like,
9 showed like the Roman. You can just say like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a theme one. This right here is. I like this.
Yeah, like I'm already our buddy Lester, that's a big wrestling fan, and our like watch parties too. He's already like, hey, so we planning a trip to Vegas or what? And I'm like, oof. WrestleMania usually breaks the bank for me, but that one would definitely break the bank.
So like, Anthony asked me Saturday, goes, like he was saying that, I think I'm definitely going to go to Vegas for WrestleMania, and I was like, you know what? I won't mind going, but I just want to go for stuff outside of WrestleMania. I don't want to go to WrestleMania. I know now it's 2 nights. I don't know. I'm just the type of person. I'd rather watch wrestling on TV than being live because it's more enjoyable to me.
I gotta say though, being there for WrestleMania 30, it's definitely a different beast being there live in person. Like being there in the Superdome when Brock Lesnar broke the streak, and like when I can say when they make the analogy of you could hear a literal pin drop, you could, because like literally everybody was just like, well, what the fuck just happened?
I understand that aspect. I just don't like. I rather not be around the crowds. I like to be on a comfortable. I like to be in your comfortable recliner where I slept. Where I slept night 2 after the parade.
I mean, like each has its like pros and its cons. It's kind of one of those things that like going like if it's something you're super passionate about and like being there with a bunch of complete strangers and like just making those connections, because it's kind of funny. Like I met a lot of people over the course of like WrestleMania 30 and WrestleMania 34. You know, just like people that, you know, you pass them normally on the street, you wouldn't even maybe give them the time of day, or you wouldn't necessarily interact with each other. And then just, like, making all these interesting connections just through a mutual love of wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. You know? Like I said, I rather do the stuff outside of the WrestleMania, like do the shows and the podcasts and the WrestleCons and stuff. I like to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go to the WWE. What is it, World?
Oh yeah, the new Access.
The new Access. I think that's more my, you know, like, we're a YouTube show, so that's more our forte.
I mean, like, literally just going into that store, especially for WrestleMania 34, like, Jesus Christ, like, I could have probably stayed there all day. Like, it was just crazy, like, some of the stuff they had. But no, definitely excited to see what's going to happen with WrestleMania in Vegas, so that'll be something to look forward to next year.
Plus, I don't want to go to Vegas. First time, I've never been to Vegas.
Oh.
So, like, I never want to go to Vegas because I have, like, it has my 3 vices that are against me. Gambling, drinking, and hookers. So, you know, it's not the best place for me to go to. And then go to WrestleMania, and then it's going to be my first... Someone's going to have to bail me out of jail.
I'm not going to... no comment. I'm not going to make a face. Let's say real quick, because I know you got something fun that's planned, and I know we've kind of gone a little long with this. Just kind of cool that Drew McIntyre's contract re-signing, or him re-upping with WWE, was kind of spoiled by The Rock, who posted the video of, you know, Drew and his wife out at dinner, and then all of a sudden he's interrupted by somebody bringing him a nice little card that The Rock had wrote him, and an actual traditional, like, legitimate Scottish Claymore. And it was one of these things that Rock joked with him whenever they were having the initial contract talks. Like, if you re-sign, I'm going to give you one. And sure enough, he gave him one, man of his word. Like, it's kind of nice that Drew's at least going to be locked in for the next few years with the E. And when one person re-ups, we find out that a legend is no longer a part of the company. In that WWE decided not to renew Jerry Lawler's Legends contract, and so he's not affiliated with the company at all. Just kind of crazy when you think that that's a man that's been with the company for over 30 years.
Yeah, but
longer than that.
But also too, it's the person that you can do that with, because really you can't really do nothing else.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of past.
He's done with wrestling, because I mean
he had a stroke last year. Granted, his health has improved. He's doing a lot better.
Yeah, but I mean, no one's gonna take that chance to put him on there. Like, I kind of shudder sometimes when I see Jim Ross on AEW. I'm like, I love you, but it's time.
Yeah.
Just. I don't want to see you on air have something go on. You know, just it's time to roll. He should have rolled with the Run Sunset with Sting. Make that his last call.
Yeah.
That should have been his last call. Hey, you did an old school guard and everything, and because, you know, I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, with that, we're gonna take a quick break, because I know Ramsey's got something fun that he's lined up, so we're going to get things a little readjusted here, and then bounce back with, I guess, a little bit of surprise.
Yep, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. And so, welcome back. And so, Ramsey, you want to tell them what we're going to be doing with this little exercise here?
So, we're just going to do like a little tier ranking. I got all the titles on there from AEW, Ring of Honor, WWE, NXT, and pretty much we're just going to go through. We're going to rank from S tier, from an S tier to a D, what we think what the title looks like, and what we think there. We're going to go with how it looks, what we think the prestige on it, and prestige and the looks of the title.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I see that we have the AEW, well, it used to be, the All-Atlantic Championship. That's now the
International Championship.
which I gotta say, I like the look of the belt when it first debuted. Um, wasn't really too much history with it in AEW until it got on to one Orange Cassidy, and it definitely became the workman's belt, so to speak, their version of the Intercontinental Championship. Even though, like, some people would say that that distinction might go to the TNT Championship. I think kind of just the way that the international championship's been defended, it's kind of held more of that distinction. So I think that definitely weighs heavy in where I rank it on the list. But what are your thoughts on it?
I think with what Orange Cassidy did with the title, it was outstanding. I think it's probably, to me, the top belt as prestige wise on the card, because what Orange Cassidy did for the title.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of injuries going with the main title, with the heavyweight title and everything, which I would say I think this is prestige wise the top prestige. Now, aesthetics of the title, I don't like it. I was like, out of all the titles, it's probably not the worst. But I'll give it I think because of the prestige, I gave it a B. I like the color in it because it has color, but I think when you look at the title itself, I think I think that the problem we're having.
Problem we're having is you're just all over the place. What are you doing?
I was trying to like pull up to make it bigger, but if you look at the titles, all the titles, if it's an international title, the flags are not international.
It's mostly like everything that's
In the
like
North
Western Hemisphere based, like in Northern
North Atlantic.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'd have probably gone with like lower A, upper B tier. So the fact that you're saying it's a B tier belt for you, I'd be comfortable putting it in the B tier. So we could definitely say for the first belt on the board, good solid B.
Let's just go around. I'm gonna, instead of going in order, we'll move around. Let's go with the kind of the equivalent. Let's go with the NXT North American Championship.
Look, to me, it's very simple. It is the North American Championship, and when you look at the actual belt, it is just of North America. You have Canada, you have U.S., you have Mexico represented. That's a belt that's definitely had a rich history since they debuted it in NXT. I actually really like the look of the belt. I would say that, like, to me, I might be in the minority here. I think it actually looks better than the NXT Championship, and that's just my opinion. I don't know. What do you think?
I like the old school look at it. I am not a big fan of the square belt look and then the circle.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like an old. It has the evidence of an old school look, but it's I think that it's to me it's kind of C.
I would say maybe we put it in the B tier. Maybe I would say maybe behind the International
That's
Championship.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I'd say kind of nice solid B for me.
The next one we're going to have is the TV television championship of Ring of Honor.
I was gonna say so as much as I used to watch clips of Ring of Honor, I'm not as Ring of Honor savvy, or at least glory days of Ring of Honor savvy as maybe you would be.
I'm not.
I mean, granted, I have my favorite of the Ring of Honor championships, but it's a little bit on the back end of the list. I would say that the Ring of Honor championship would probably be like I don't know, maybe like the television championship, maybe like a C plus, B minus for me. I don't know. What do you think?
Come for the hate comments. I'm ready for this. A television championship is to be defended on what?
Television.
Does Ring of Honor have a television contract?
No.
D for me.
I'll give you that one. Is it going to be like, I was about to say, is it going to be spoiler alert, all Ring of Honor championships are going to be D tier?
I don't think so, because I think there's one championship that, well, value, prestige-wise, yes, because there's no prestige in it right now, because there's nothing to promote it besides AEW. But AEW has a New Japan championship being defended. They gotta have their own show.
I agree.
Let's go with WWE title.
The United States
Championship. This redesign, I love it.
I love it.
I love the prestige that they started trying to put back into it with Bobby Lashley, and now going into it with dumbass, what's his name? Logan Paul. Where he takes it everywhere. It's on his podcast every week. It's shown. It's that title has been seen more than any title on the planet. So prestige-wise, hey, it's A.
To me, it's definitely A tier. I gotta say, like, I hated a lot of the old designs of the U.S. Championship. I mean, the whole blinged out spinner belt that John Cena had for a while worked for the character. The fact that they kind of kept that around for a little while, even after he dropped it. The one that they changed it to, I was never really a big fan of. I love this particular design, though. I thought it was... I'll be honest, I think it looks a lot better than the Intercontinental Championship, even though that new redesign of the Intercontinental Championship has grown on me. That is definitely a solid A, so I would definitely throw that in the A tier.
Yeah,
like mine's there.
That design is outstanding. Let's go with a women's belt right now. Let's go with the TBS Championship.
I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be the same thing for the TNT Championship. So this will also affect my reasoning with the TBS Championship. I think it's great that you have the synergy with your broadcast partners. Like, oh hey, these are the belts that are defended on our television networks. Ergo, these are going to be our champions. The TNT Championship made sense because of the whole Dynamite, TNT, TNT for Dynamite. So no, that association made sense for naming a championship. The TBS Championship, to me, it was just kind of like, well, we're gonna throw a mid-card championship on the women's brand. Let's just go with the other station that we broadcast. So I'm not a big fan of the whole network branding with the belt. To me, this would be at least or at best a C tier.
I'll give you the C. That's great. You're gonna be synergy for the brand. Hey, it's great, but your TV contract's up and. You might not be on
TBS
or TNT at all
much longer, right?
So the TNT kind of makes sense. You can still keep the TNT because it's kind of Dynamite TNT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that totally equates to TBS. It was just.
Let's go with this. This is about to be a killer part. It's a title that does not have a champion to it. It's the new North American Women's NXT Champion. I mean, it's the men's belt, but in white.
Yeah, I would say it'd go in the B tier for me because I think your belts that are the same but just palette swapped can kind of go hand in hand. But I do like the look of the white leather with that red instead of the black paint on the inside gold. Maybe if I'm being honest, I maybe like the women's North American Championship just a little bit more.
But here's the problem with prestige problem with this. It's going to go down to C. There's no champion yet.
There's no champion yet, and if you want to put it in C, I'd be okay with it. But we're definitely going to put it in front of.
Once the champion comes out, it's going to be in between both of these, both the international and the North American.
I would say, though, at the very least, you could put it in front of the TBS Championship because the greatest TBS champion is currently signed to WWE. So, just saying.
I thought I downloaded the Ring of Honor Television Championship, but I guess I was wrong.
No, you have the Ring of Honor Television Championship.
No, for the women. The women's came out.
Oh.
There's a championship, but I don't know if I...
Oh, you don't have the women... You don't have the women's World Championship?
I put it on there. I thought I downloaded it. Is this it?
I think that's it.
Okay. The women's Ring of Honor TV Championship.
I don't think that's the TV championship. I think that's the regular Ring of Honor Women's Championship.
Well, that's a woman. Damn, that's title sucks even more. Okay, let's go with the Ring of... Nah, fuck that. King of the Ring. That's tag team. That's pure. That's the... I didn't download it. Fuck it. No point. Let's go with the TNT Championship then.
TNT Championship. Like I say, it's just slightly better. Than the CT. I'll give it a pass again because TNT Dynamite, that branding. I would put it at best low B tier, at worst high C tier. Just my opinion.
So, I don't like the design of it. I think it is better than the TBS. Just because it's kind of like more of a clean background compared to like a more...
Well, it's the actual logos. Like when you look at the bottom, that's what the TBS.
The back of the TBS, like where it had like the little ribbon. When it has like the little ribbon, there's texture on the back end. This is just straight. It's just a straight logo.
Yeah, but the TNT logo is a straight circle with TNT in the middle, whereas TBS, it's almost like a little ticket stub. And that's, that's basically how they did that, so.
TNT, if all the work that Darby Allin did to make this title relevant, they unrelevanted the title. I'll put it in the C tier above the Women's NXT North American Championship.
I'd be okay with that, so.
Let's go with a title that has no relevancy, that needs to fucking leave now, and that's the FTW Championship. It was great in the 90s for reasons for ECW and for the story of Taz.
Mm-hmm.
It's now been passed around like a roadie's girlfriend on a concert.
You've had some holders of the championship that it kind of doesn't really make sense. And as much as I love Chris Jericho, him holding that belt makes no fucking sense. And I know that there's possibly a potential storyline coming down the pipeline with Taz. I don't care. They could have gotten to that story without this belt. I'm kind of sad that you don't have an F tier because I would put the FTW Championship as it stands now in the F tier. And it's a shame because that is a prestigious belt for its era in the late 90s in ECW.
Staying with AEW, let's go with the Continental Championship.
It's a new belt, but it's also...
It's something you can buy at the toy store. Look at it, it's so generic.
I like that. I like that the Continental Classic caps off with like, oh hey, we're going to award you something. But the fact that that's something that we award you with is now something that is defended on shows, everything like that. Like, to me, it just kind of... I don't get the connection there. We've already talked about how AEW has way too many belts. And I know people are starting to make that argument with WWE as well. But at least, like, the belts that WWE have make sense for some semblances of the story. Just to me, having... a Continental Championship. Having somebody that wins the Continental Classic then be the Continental Champion and then defending said championship just to me makes no sense. Not a big fan of the look of the belt. To me, this would be D tier.
That's a belt that you, when you buy, like, back in the 80s and 90s, you buy, like, the little generic wrestling toy. That's the belt.
Yeah, like that. It kind of looks like a fantasy football belt.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
a good one. Going to where it's a tournament style or certain match, you have the Heritage Cup, which is actually a trophy cup. Mm-hmm. But there's, to compete for that, there's certain rules, certain match style. You got time limit, and you got like, I want to say 25 minutes, and whoever wins the most matches in 25 minutes, kind of like an Ironman, kind of like old.
Mm-hmm.
trophy. So, like, to defend it, you have to go through the format of to win the cup.
But it is something that's like, okay, you win it, but then you defend it.
Yes, you do defend it, but it's not a belt; it's a trophy. But
So,
it's
so is it basically NXT's version of the Pure Championship?
Yes, like how there's certain rules for the Pure, like no interference. This one, it's you have to win like so many pinfalls and a time limit to be awarded the Heritage Cup.
I mean, I like the look of the cup. It's definitely something different. When we talk
It's
about
the
belts,
and it's also the only holdover from NXT UK.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the look of the trophy. It is a very beautiful specimen. I'd probably say, and this is just again like my limited knowledge of NXT UK, outside of like Gunther and Ilya Dragunov, and I know that like Tyler Bate and Jesus, I almost wanted to call him fucking
Pete Dunne.
Yeah, Pete Dunne. No, like I like the look of it. It's definitely something different, unique. I would say it may be upper B tier.
I like that. So this would go.
I would put it maybe at the forefront of the B tier.
So.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, okay, I like that. Talk about the Pure Championship. Let's talk about the Pure.
I gotta be honest. I think the Pure Championship is probably my favorite belt in Ring of Honor. I like the simple look of it because it definitely has like a late 70s, early 80s vibe to it. Where it's not necessarily too showy and like just to me when you talk about like the spirit of Ring of Honor and the fact of like the whole before matches you would like bow to your opponent or you shake hands, whatever. Just the fact that it's like just the simple rules, the simple sport of grappling and wrestling. I love the look of it. To me, it's their best belt. I would put that in the A tier myself, but I know that this is basically an opinion that we must share. So before we give the final grade, so I'm kind of curious to see your thoughts.
I think it's a sit. I don't like the belt. The belt, it's one of those generic belts that if you buy from you go and buy an action figure from the 90s and it's like the off-brand.
See, but to me though, at least like in a wrestling promotion where like the belt itself is of two grapplers grappling, whereas the Continental Classic, it's literally just a fucking crown. It looks like a fucking Burger King crown in the middle of the belt. Like, just to me, at least the Pure belt more symbolizes the spirit of what the belt is. Because, I mean, it's not supposed to be, like, the main championship. It's a working man's belt, and that is a working man's belt. I mean, I granted, we have differing opinions on it. I'd be happy to meet you in the middle and throw it in the B.
This is going to go into the B because it's... You said A, I said C, so it will go in B. I think, from the look of it, the trophy looks better than the belt.
The trophy looks better than the belt. I'll give you that. Could you maybe make a case that like the North American Championship or even the International Championship maybe goes in front of it?
I think we can move the North American. I like the North American title more than I do because the International Championship has no flags other than. Like what it is.
Well, no.
It has Japan.
Yeah, it has Japan. It has Mexico. It has the UK.
It's North America.
It has the UK in there. It's got like
I need more.
You need more busyness.
Australia. You got have the 7 fucking continents. Have the 6 continents represented in an international championship. And maybe some snow on the globe, to represent our America. I'd say like that, maybe.
I'll give you. I would still maybe put the International Championship ahead of the Pure Championship.
I'll give you that. There you go.
Okay. I would even put the North American in front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, look, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that.
Because I thought, like, the C, I thought it was better than TBS. I would have behind the TBS and the Women's North American. Well, once they get this crown, this one probably jumps up. Just jumping up to B.
If we do this show again like 2-3 years from now, yeah, we might have to reevaluate.
Let's start doing some tag teams. No, I'm sorry. We did international. We got to do intercontinental. Let's go to WWE Intercontinental Championship.
I will say that this belt has grown on me. When they went from the classic Intercontinental Championship to this new belt, I was like, why? It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I do notice, though, and like it's actually kind of ironic that we're doing this today, because I was watching kind of the history of the WWE Championship, going back to the days of the WWF to modern day, and just like didn't realize like how much they turned over the belts even in like the 70s and the 80s, and like the longest stretch that you had like the same belt was maybe 8 years. So I mean, I gotta say, like, it was kind of sad to see the old design of the Intercontinental Championship go. This design has grown on me a bit. I still like the United States Championship, or at least the current iteration of the United States Championship, more than I do this. But I'm kind of curious what your take on it is.
So, to me, it's an A tier. It's an A tier, along with the U.S. And I do like the U.S. design better, but what Gunther done with that trophy, that puts it above.
I kind of feel like Gunther did a lot in making me kind of appreciate the new design of the belt.
I like the new design from jump. I like the black and the gold. It was the first one where it kind of reminded me of the old Undisputed Championship, and then it just did it like more respectfulness. It made it more. It's classic, but with the black and gold, it kind of like made it more. Had more little flair to it, which in the later editions of their belts put more into it, and it's also one thing I also like. It's not noticeable as much. The WWE logo is not as noticeable.
Yeah,
and that's what I liked about it. But I liked it from start, and I love it. And what Gunther did with that belt, it goes in the A. It goes above the U.S. Championship, not by looks, because I still love it by prestige. This belt right here, Gunther has done more for this belt than what dumbass at Logan Paul and I love him. Look, I love him. I just can't think of his name. Him and his brother, I get them mixed up.
Yeah, no, Logan's the wrestler and Jake is the boxer.
Let's go with the AEW Tag Team Championships, which not a great picture here, but it's basically a belt with the world in it.
I mean, it's a belt with the world in it. It's a solid belt. I mean, to me, I think it's a solid B championship. Now, when you compare what the old WWE Tag Championships look like in comparison, I would say it was the best tag belt of the promotions. But I would say now with some of the newer belts that have been introduced, kind of goes down the list. I would say it's a B tier. I'd maybe put it above. I'd maybe put it ahead of the AEW or all the AEW championships that are in the B tier. Like, I'd put it towards the front of the line. Okay. It's a solid design.
Let's go with one that's just similar because it's just that, but it says trios.
D.
Just along with prestige on it.
And look, and I gotta admit, I was excited when we first debuted the trios belt, but it's just kind of crazy because it's like we debuted the trios belt, and then almost immediately we had to crown new trios champions because the trio that won the belts were suspended after a brawl out. So, just between them, and if you have the Ring of Honor trios belts in there, you could throw them in the D tier too. I'm glad that we actually decided to combine them.
Are combined now, so
yeah.
That's the title that they're staying with.
But, you know, like prestige-wise, like, now that it actually has Ring of Honor folded in, you could maybe elevate it up to C, but, like, just what they've done with, like, trios belts since, I'd say, the first year that they introduced them, it's just They're not featured prominently. It's there. It's an afterthought.
The Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship belts. God, this is probably as worse as the penny belts. To me, the design is just...
The design is bad, but it's also just like classic Ring of Honor. You know, like the big ROH right there. I would put it... I'm not going to like put it D tier. I would definitely put it C tier. I would put it ahead of the TBS Championship. And it maybe even if you want to put it ahead of the Women's North America Championship.
No, it looks better. No, the Women's
It looks better, but there's no prestige.
There's no prestige, but the prestige of the past. I'm talking about right now. The prestige of the Tag Team Ring of Honor is nothing. Who's the Tag Team Ring of Honor champions?
Briscoes.
No, I'm talking about right now. What's the prestige of it? What they did in the past is not what we're talking about. We're talking about right now. What's the prestige of that title? It's nothing.
Well,
who's the champion?
Prestige of the Intercontinental Championship. It's not Gunther anymore. It's now Sami Zayn.
But
Sami Zayn's only a few weeks in, so why are we using this argument?
So it's right now, the prestige is still there. It transitioned, but you still have the prestige. I'm not talking about the Briscoe. When's the last time Briscoe had that championship? Like 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Just before Jay died.
Okay, about a year ago.
Huh.
We're talking about someone that just got rid of it a month ago. Not even a month ago. A month ago. Yeah, not even a month ago.
Okay.
I'm talking about like prestige now. Like, we can talk about prestige about the FTW. What Taz did for FTW.
I get.
That's
well,
a fucking
look. But I also get with you saying like, oh well, what's the prestige of it now? It still has more prestige than the yet to be named Women's North American Champion. I get it looks better.
I'm going to say the prestige right now is it's a belt with an organization that does not have a fucking TV contract.
Yeah.
Which is right now the number 3 title in tag teams in its own brand. Because the trios is now combined both Ring of Honor and AEW, and then you still have the AEW championships. So AEW championships is here, the trios is here because it has the AEW brand on it, and then Ring of Honor is here.
Well, if you want to put it behind the Women's NXT Championship that doesn't even have a champion, I'm fine with that. Moving on.
Who's the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions?
Moving on.
Who's the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions?
Moving on.
You don't even know. Just say it. Just say it.
Moving on.
Just say it. Like, you don't even know. No. If Kurt was here, he wouldn't even know either.
Yeah, so which belt are we going with next?
Let's go with the NXT Tag Team Championships.
I mean...
It's like the only holdover of the old black and gold brand.
Yeah.
And I tell you, why I have 2 NXT Women's Championships.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. Did you? Were you maybe trying to go for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship?
No, I didn't hit the Ring of Honor. I don't know. Fuck it. So the NXT Tag Team Championship is still like the only holdover of the black and gold brand. It's not the greatest. It's better than the fucking Ring of Honor looking belts.
Mm-hmm.
But also too here is like, it's Axiom and I can't think of his tag team partner. Who's the champion? They just won it over. They just beat the War Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
The look of the belt, the design wise, I say C. I will put it.
I would put it towards the front of C only because of like some of the teams that have held that belt.
I'm not even. You know what? No, I'll give it just due. Because right now the
still behind a championship that doesn't even have a champion.
First thing, you wanted it in B next to the fucking North American beginning. I said going to go C because it didn't have a champion.
But again, I'm saying if you are going to put it in C, then you also have to look at the other belts that are sitting there in C.
All right, then you know what we're going to do? Boom. That's what we're going to do because there's no champion.
Okay. All right. Hey, you still put it towards the front of D. There you go. See? Compromise, right?
Even though like I can't tell. Oh yeah, Bullet Club. Don't. Is that
It's Okada now.
No, Okada's the international. Right?
No, that's Roderick Strong.
Oh, fuck. Too many fucking belts. Let's get into the WWE Tag Team Championship. Let's go with the World Tag Team Championships, which goes from a penny to a golden dollar.
I love both new belts. I love them. I love them. I love the look. It is kind of interesting that with the Raw belts, which in this case are the World Tag Team Championships, we have the red lettering or the red paint on the gold, whereas with the SmackDown WWE Tag Team Championships, it's just the black on gold. I love the look of the new belts, but if I had to maybe pick a favorite between the two, I'd probably gravitate towards the SmackDown belts a little bit more.
Well, we're talking about right now the
I
know,
but I'm just saying, when we do get to that, I'm going to put the other belts a little bit higher. I'm just trying to decide if this is like maybe upper B tier or lower A tier.
Well, let's go to the WWE Championship Tag Team belt, because to me,
yeah,
that's our first S tier.
I am on board with that.
As much as I'd call it a golden dollar, I think it's here. It's still behind these two. I just think it's just too big of a fucking circle. Too big of a round.
To me, look,
it's
to
an upgraded
me,
penny belt. We went from a penny to a gold.
It's
gold
it's a marked improvement over the penny belts.
It moved up to a golden doubloon, a pirate golden doubloon. I don't like the red though. They should have did that with black, because in tune. One thing I don't like about in tune. This is just temporarily right now. This is the World Championships, the women and the men's.
Mm-hmm.
You could have done the black and white. You didn't have to do the fucking red. No. These are all the belts. There's no red in none of the belts.
But it does kind of differentiate it. Whereas like with the World Championships, how the women's has the white leather, men's has the black leather. At least it's kind of a way to differentiate it without making it all just too uniform.
First thing, you could have done the same color gold, and you can done the black and white, and because it's different, because that the World Championship single belts is more oval, streamlined. This one is more, it's just a fucking circle doubloon. Just a circle.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm totally fine with it sitting where it is in A tier. And again, I'm glad you already just threw it in the S tier, because, as I was saying, it's either going to be upper A or lower S for me. But I'm glad that's our first S tier, is the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
Let's go with the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, which is, to me, a D tier.
I was going to say,
it's like a C, bottom C, top D. I don't like the design.
The design, and I was trying to think of like what the design reminds me of. It almost looks like an atom. It almost looks like if you play like any of those like aircraft carrier or like spaceship shoot 'em ups like Gradius or something like that. It almost looks like a power up that you would see floating across the screen. It has a weird design to it.
It looks like a compass.
I mean, it definitely looks like a compass. It's like I can think of a variety of other things of what it looks like.
It looks like an old Roman Italian compass, like an old school, even before that. Fucking Barney Rubble, Fred Flintstone compass.
Yeah, no. To me, like to me, it belongs in the D tier. It's my least favorite of the WWE Tag Team Championships. More so now that we got rid of the pennies. So, yeah, no, I'm fine with it being there in D tier.
Smell the Red Bull, and now I'm like, gotta have one now. Let's go into women's world titles. Let's start with Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. God, why? Why do they like the women in Ring of Honor?
I mean, look, I'll say this. Just on prestige alone, Athena has fucking crushed it as women's champion, and I'm glad that she's at least getting a run. And it's a fucking shame that Ring of Honor does not have a TV show where you can see her more often. But I mean, but still though, like she's put in the hard work and making that title relevant without necessarily all of the eyes, as much of the eyes on her as she should have. I think for like that reason alone, just on the prestige of who is carrying the belt, I would probably put it in the upper C tier. Maybe, controversially in my opinion, maybe ahead of the NXT Tag Championships, but that's
not controversial. I don't. NXT is like that. Thank God there was only the Women's Tag Team Championship to make that look better. Speaking about NXT, we'll go with the NXT Women's Champion.
You could, I mean, like, again, it's the men's and the women's are almost palette swaps of each other. I don't, like, that might be the only, like, redeeming quality of the whole NXT 2.0 thing. I do like the added splashes of color behind the letters NXT. And it's just it's a solid, to me it's just a solid look, the big X, the N and the T. X marks the spot, you're the champion, you got the X on your waist, like everybody's gunning for you. I don't know. I mean, I just have bad thoughts on that. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Well, because how the belt sits where it sits in the X,
Well, we've also seen what previous champions have done with those NXT championships, so let's not digress anymore. I would say that it probably would sit somewhere between A and B for me. I'd maybe let you dictate where they go.
Controversially, I like the white background on the women's.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, because they're temporarily palette swaps, that is, to me...
And I would be A-okay with exactly how you did it there. Women's in the lower A, men's in the upper B, and they're right there by each other.
Yeah, because the men's with the black background, the white shows off the colors a little bit more better than the black one.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're going to talk about women's champions, the Prestige right now, both of them right now, if you just name the last champions in the last 4 months, it's remarkable who held both of those belts.
Yeah.
Just going with the last month, really. It's unbelievable. Let's go with AEW Women's Heavyweight Championship.
Solid belt.
I think they did a little bit more justice to make it a little bit more bigger than it once was. It was like a really like.
Well, God, when you had Riho that was holding it, it was literally like a fucking toy belt. It was kind of one of those things that was like, okay, if Nyla Rose wins this thing, it's gonna literally look like a freaking ribbon hanging on her shoulder, like. So no, it definitely made it look a little bit more prestigious. Really carry the weight that a champion should. I would say it's a solid B belt for me. Maybe not ahead of. I would maybe put it towards the lower end of B, if only because we kind of had this weird run post Jamie Hayter of what are we doing with the belt. I kind of like the fact that Toni Storm is now kind of bringing a bit more shine with her character work and development as champion, and we're starting to get some really good quality matches out of it too, so definitely a good solid B. Conversely, if we wanted to jump into like the women's, like the WWE Women's Championships, I mean, I think the thing that's holding the WWE Women's Championship back is it's literally just the old SmackDown and Raw Women's Championships belts, except now we matched it with the men's title. So it's got the gold backdrop. So.
Yeah, so I think it's more, they're doing that, that's the WWE Championship. It's more
showing
off.
It's the keeping it uniform, just like they did with the WWE, undisputed WWE Championship, as they're calling it now. I don't love it. I don't hate it. To me, it would be a B. And the only thing that would maybe put it middle of the pack B would be Prestige.
Like here.
I'd put it ahead of the International Championship. Yeah, I actually I feel comfortable with it being right there unless you wanted to move it.
No, I think the AEW Tag Team Championship gives kind of a homage to the WCW World Tag Team Championships, and I'm a big opponent of the WCW Championships. Were probably the best championships made. Let's go to the Women's World Heavyweight Championship.
Love that belt.
Yeah.
Mommy made that belt relevant.
Yeah. Even with the men's, when it came out at first, and a lot of people were like, God, that what? Like, huh? What? The belt, it gives you big gold belt vibes. It gives you...
My favorite championship. No, I was just saying. No, I'm a big fan.
Not mine.
I'm a big fan of the big gold belt. When they debuted the men's and the women, it definitely gave off those vibes.
It gave off because World Heavyweight Championship belt. It gave a vibe. I do like the WWE logo on there with the global behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think because of prestige value, women's goes ahead of the men's.
Agreed. And not a knock on Seth. Seth was a fighting champion. Kudos. I just feel like Rhea wearing that belt made it important, whereas Seth holding the World Heavyweight Championship, it's like he was a credible champion. But I mean, again, it's the same conversation we've had with Seth the entire time.
I'm gonna go with controversially. To me, now I'm not gonna put it there. For me, this is here for me.
I would be okay with that, to be honest with you, because I mean,
Lock that in.
we just debuted these new belts for the tag teams respectively, but really, if you think of it, a lot of those newer designs are offshoots of this design, or it's this design crawled so that the other designs could walk and run. So I would be A-okay putting the women's belt there. And for the men, I would maybe put it in the A tier.
See, I was thinking this behind that one because one thing about the knock on it, a lot of people knocked on it because of the fact that it's new, it's the number 2 title.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why I don't think it's a number 2 title until now. And it's because what Seth Rollins did. He defended the title. Where Roman didn't defend the title. He defended the title. He brought that title and defended it. He worked his ass off to get that title over.
Mm-hmm.
But what Mommy could do and what Mommy has done, Seth can do it. The only good thing about it with now is it went from Rhea got hurt and now transitioned to Becky, which she's not going to disappoint on performance. So
and it's going to make it that much better when Liv Morgan takes that belt. So yeah, I mean you can't just give it to her. She's got to work for it a little bit. I will say this, just like sidebars, we're talking about Seth Rollins. I feel like if we were going to push Seth Rollins as a face, if we got more of the Seth Rollins that we saw in the weeks leading up to Mania, I could maybe connect with him and get behind him a little bit more. Because even like the Seth Rollins that we had in the months prior to that when he was supposed to be babyface, it's just I couldn't relate. I could not connect with the guy. But if you give me the guy that we know is amazing in the ring, that is a credible champion just from a work rate standpoint. But just like, why are people likable? Because we connect with them in some aspect. I can't connect with a swarmy,
Did you see him at the Kentucky Derby?
Dude, shaved his beard, shaved his head. I was like, whoa.
What the like? Is that
I don't think he was. I don't think he was balding or anything like that. It's kind of like.
I was like,
whoa.
I was like, wow, look totally different. Now we got the 3 top belts.
Mm-hmm.
We have the WWE Championship. We have the Ring of Honor Championship, and we got the AEW Championship. This was just, I don't know what happened, but here's the 3 championships. I'll let you have your do a little discussion on it real quick. I'm gonna step away for a little second.
All right, so if I'm quarterbacking this this team for a second, look, of the 3, Jesus, I hate rolling ball mouses. I would say of the 3, I would probably put the AEW Championship. There we go. I would put the AEW Championship somewhere in the S tier, just because to me, I love the look and the design of the belt, and I kind of felt like, especially when they first debuted that belt 5 years ago, compared to the belts that WWE was running with, like, that definitely had the look and feel of a true wrestling championship. In a way, it was kind of like almost a spiritual successor to like the WCW Big Gold Belt, with just more of like the intricacies and nuances that are built into the design. So no, like for me, the AEW Championship is S tier. Whereas the Ring of Honor Championship, when you look at it, it kind of invokes the old school WCW belt. So like that kind of look before they went back to the Big Gold Belt, like so that I guess you'd say maybe it kind of had the look of the belt that like Vader and Hogan held the first go around. So I like the look of the belt. To me, that would be an A tier belt. And I would also say with the new look of the WWE Undisputed Championship, I would put that lower A tier. I guess the big question for me would be where it goes, just sort of look-wise ahead of... I mean, prestige-wise, it definitely goes ahead of the Ring of Honor belt. It's just a matter of where it maybe falls in line. Now that you're back, I was going to say...
that bottle for me because I can't.
Yeah. I got you, buddy.
Here we go. Let's do controversial takes here. I want to be very honest right here. No. Now, controversially...
That's like your opinion, man.
I know. Controversially. I always said controversial opinion. The AEW belt, I heard keep saying WCW. I think it's a ripoff of the Ring of Honor. As a design, I think Ring of Honor belt is the best design. I like the Ring of Honor design. Always have. I think that's the best belt. Thank you, sir. But prestige-wise, like design-wise, it's Ring of Honor. The newer design of the WWE Championship, where that gold, that it just shines. I like it better than the old gold style of AEW. I always thought it was always too busy. Because it had gold, but it had like too much gold into it. It never had like really accents. The only time you really got to see the true shape of the belt was when MJF put it on the freaking plaid leather. I would say, prestige-wise, it's WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
But like right now, like looking at the belts.
Well, I was gonna say.
I would say that I think to me,
I'll pop back into frame because now we actually got to see where we're gonna settle it onto the tier list.
I always thought, to me, all 3 of these are A tiers. None of them are S tiers.
Okay.
Belt design wise, prestige wise, it's so like technically none of them will go to S. They'll all be on A because I do agree both of these belong in A. You said S. I said A, so
that was my personal opinion, but we can come down to A. I would maybe move the AEW Championship closer to the front of the pack, maybe, but definitely not at the expense of the WWE Championship being at the tail end of A. So
I think right off the bat, like that's there. I think that's there. To me, that's...
Yeah, I was about to say definitely move the tag team championship back.
That's to me. That's to me because I think the just by like prestige wise, it's reverse. It should be WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, but design wise, it should be Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW for me. So I think with that will be a concession for me.
You know what? I don't hate it. I am totally comfortable with the list as is. Are there any maybe in like the B, C, D tiers that we need to reevaluate? At least like where they are positioned within that field?
Nah, I like that.
Just to be clear, especially with the D tier.
Once they get a championship, this belt goes up here. This belt goes up here. Well, goes right here.
Yeah.
Who the champion is. But like, that's the only addition. That's the only.
That would be one big change down the road.
And I'll be honest, if I did have the Ring of Honor Women's Championship on there, it would be on D because it's a women's television championship who does have a champion, just named, but
they don't defend it.
It's not television, no contract. So, to me, that's a no go on that one to me.
So that's our tier list when it comes to championship belts across both AEW and WWE. You can go ahead and laminate that list. That is set in stone, at least, again, until a few years from now when we redo this list, I'm sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
I was going to say, any closing thoughts? I figure maybe you want to take a shot at AEW, considering, it's like one of those things, you take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. I love the whole thing with Tony Khan selling the injury at the draft. But like it's been pointed out by many people, it's like if you're going to wear a neck brace, then you need to be like literally looking right down the telescope. You're not moving your head around, looking at everything that's going on. You better be moving your whole body if you're gonna stick to kayfabe.
Well, I think the only problem I have with that is don't sit here and tell, like, people like to go and say, no, they're doing great, they're doing good, but then as people like me who look at numbers and look at business aspects of things, you have to get on the NFL Network to promote your fucking your promotion, and then try to sell it, but then makes the comments that he made, and then NFL Network is like, you're not walking back on.
So, but to that point, you have a golden opportunity, being the fact that you're the owner of AEW. You also are owner of Jacksonville Jaguars. You have a platform where you can do some cross promotion. You can sit there and talk about it. Why are you going to take that valuable TV time that they are giving you to promote your product by then shitting on the competition? The competition, which by the way is fucking murdering you in attendance, in draws, in television ratings, and everything. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on what's going on in your yard. Stop focusing on what's going on in the WWE. Because honestly, you listen to a lot of chatter out there on the internet, and even a lot of these AEW diehards are getting to the point where it's like, we're tired of just y'all taking the opportunities just to take shots at WWE. It's like, focus on your shit. That is what made you the alternative in the first place. That's what drew a lot of people in initially. Focus on doing what you do best, and that is the quality of the in-ring work. And then even then, like, take a page out of WWE's book and focus on your storytelling. It's like, you have to have something that's going to keep people tuning in, week out. You already have your diehards that come in for the quality wrestling. You want to get the people that are channel flipping and, maybe first-time viewers, have a captivating story to hook them in. So, I do feel like they're starting between Dynamite and Collision to tell more stories do the long-term storytelling, but it's still a work in progress. Focus on that. Stop taking shots at WWE because it really makes you look Bush League. And
in the Bush League, also the part that it's you take shots, but you make comments that they're the Harvey Weinstein. I'm like, that's wow. Like that's damn. Because even like WWE Network, NFL Network, just there's like no, cut it.
Yeah, no, like that's there's like there's some things you just don't bring up. Especially the fact that the guy that he's like trying to make that equivalency to isn't even associated with the company anymore.
But also the point that here's also another aspect on it. You're the Pepsi of wrestling, dude. No one likes fucking Pepsi. Only up in the north.
That was that was like an apt analogy in like the late '80s, early '90s. But look, Cindy Crawford ads are long gone. That's not even a.
No. PepsiCo will be taking over will take over Coke I think distributive numbers. They'll have a larger share of distributors than Coke. But the problem is, you could be Pepsi, but Pepsi will always be number 2 compared to Coke. Coke is number 1 in America. In the world, it's a global freaking brand. They don't need all the distributors. You can be all the restaurants you want, but you can be like me. I walk in, I take a Coke. We only got Pepsi. Take a water.
I'll be honest. I can't remember the last time I had a Pepsi. It has to be at least high school since I've had a Pepsi.
I had a My dad bought a Pepsi, and I was thirsty, and I was like, God damn it! And it's terrible. If you want to be considered Pepsi and you're basically this, your promotion is in the South, where Coke is. Know your region.
Look, I've had an RC Cola more recently than I've had a Pepsi.
I have RC Cola because I go to a restaurant that serves only RC Cola. So I know I have it. It's one of my favorite restaurants, and I go there and I get an RC Cola. I'll take an RC Cola because it tastes better than friggin' Pepsi. Hell, Sam's Club tastes better than fucking Pepsi. Pepsi just God no. But to reference yourself as Pepsi, I was like,
well, again, it's
Pepsi lost the Pepsi Wars. So
again, it's a dated reference. It's a reference that goes back to the late '80s, early '90s, and it's like again,
but in his business mind, he's thinking about now like, no one knows that. Unless you really look at numbers, stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, PepsiCo is about to overtake Coke, not for being popular or being outsell Coke, just for distributors.
Yeah, distribution numbers. Yeah, but no, I was gonna say, any closing thoughts before we wrap up the show?
No. I have a lot of thoughts, but nothing relevant to people out there. Well, it is, but nothing to talk on camera.
I was going to say, as we record this, Raw is currently airing, and that was the thing. We had the draft this past week. I know we touched on it, but tonight's the first night that we have the new locked-in rosters. So I'm kind of curious, after we wrap this up and I go back home to the Boudreaux Bungalow, to kick back and actually watch tonight's Raw and see what's going on with the new roster, see what storylines play out.
Yeah, I won't be able to watch it, but I'll read the...
spoilers.
The spoilers. But no, I think King of Rings, what's in 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, we have the qualifying matches that start tonight, and it's going to be curious how the storylines kind of take shape.
It's the same weekend as All In, right? Not All In,
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing, right? You get the Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday,
Memorial
Sunday.
Day weekend. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. I will say this: you guys have any comments, anything? Please leave comments. We are looking to do more things, anything's differently, ideas, things I got to talk off air to my partner here. Just that I've been talking discussions with other people, but if you have any ideas, anything, comment. Just write comments. Please write comments.
Kinda,
like and subscribe.
We appreciate feedback, and I know one of the things that we had talked about in the past was like when we have watch-along ideas, y'all pitching what shows you would like us to go back and do a watch-along with. But I mean, if y'all have certain show ideas, certain topics that you want us to cover, I know one of the things that we did back when we were more just audio versus now that we're AV, we would do like wrestler profiles, and we would actually spend a good segment of the show highlighting a wrestler's career in a certain promotion.
But goddamn, this wrestling renaissance.
Yeah, I was gonna
back
say
then, wrestling was suspect back then.
Yeah, I mean it was back when we were doing those old audio podcasts. It was
Raw
back
sucked.
in the day when Raw sucked. And now it's like, Jesus, like, if we don't talk about Raw, if we don't spend 30 minutes on what happened on Raw, what are we doing? We're doing a disservice.
There's so much stuff going on in the world of wrestling now, so it's like, it's a here and now thing. And I know we're always maybe out about 2 weeks or so, but we'll give you our takes about the things. And I know it's some weird takes, and man, you're unlucky. I'm sorry, I just saw something off screen.
Okay. You had a moment there. No, but like genuinely, if you have ideas for the show, please don't hesitate to reach out and comment. Please hit the like and share button. Please subscribe, and just thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you next time for this week's edition of the Ragin Marks Wrestling Podcast. Ravishing Randy, signing off.
Rampage out.